Energy never lies. Watch their energy, not their words. Demons disguise themselves with smiles, but their energy always leaks the truth. You can dress up a lie in charm. You can wrap deceit in laughter, but energy will always tell the real story. It's the vibration you feel when someone walks into the room and suddenly everything inside you tightens. Your gut starts talking before your mind even catches up. That's not paranoia, that's awareness. Your instincts are ancient. They've been warning you long before you learn to ignore them. Most people get fooled because they listen to words. Words are cheap. Words are camouflage. People will tell you they're happy for you, that they've got your back, that they love seeing you win. But pay attention to how they move when you actually start winning. Their tone shifts. Their presence changes. You feel their energy turn cold. It's in their body language, the way their eyes stop meeting yours, the way their laugh gets shorter, the way they stop asking about your goals. They start to fade into the shadows, not because they're busy, but because your light is too bright for their comfort. Energy exposes what the mouth can't hide. When someone is truly for you, you feel it. They lift you without even trying. Their energy adds to yours. You walk away from them feeling stronger, sharper, more alive. But when someone carries hidden envy, resentment, or bitterness, you feel drained after being around them. Your mood dips, your motivation fades, your confidence shrinks. That's not coincidence. That's energetic warfare. Some people don't need to say a word to poison your atmosphere. They just have to be near you long enough for their frequency to bleed into yours. The problem is, we're trained to ignore it. We call it overthinking. We call it being too sensitive. But the truth is, your body knows when energy's off. It feels it. It senses it. The hairs on your arms rise for a reason. The sudden tension in your chest isn't random. It's a signal, a warning that you're standing in the presence of someone who doesn't wish you well. Demons don't announce themselves. They blend in. They'll laugh with you, eat with you, hug you, and still hate you. They'll say all the right things while hoping you fail in silence. You can't fight energy with logic. You fight it with awareness. The more you sharpen your self-respect, the easier it becomes to recognize what's real and what's fake. Because when you respect yourself, you stop tolerating people who dim your light just to make theirs seem brighter. You stop making excuses for people who make you feel small. You stop calling manipulation love. That's when you start seeing clearly. That's when you notice that some of the people closest to you were never clapping for you. They were just close enough to watch. Energy never lies because it carries truth in its frequency. Every time someone talks to you, they're transferring energy. Every time someone touches you, hugs you, calls you, or even texts you, that's energy moving between you and them. Some people send peace, others send poison. And the scariest part? You start to mirror the energy you spend time around. That's why you have to guard your space like it's sacred ground, because it is. Your energy is your currency. Waste it on the wrong people, and you'll go bankrupt in spirit. Start listening to what your body tells you after every interaction. Do you feel lighter or heavier, inspired or irritated, motivated or mentally exhausted? That's your answer. Stop talking yourself out of what your gut already knows. You don't need proof when your spirit already saw the truth. You just need the courage to trust it. Energy never lies. It never fakes, it never flatters, and it never hides. You can fake a smile, fake your tone, fake your story, but energy, it doesn't play pretend. It tells the truth every single time. They feed on weakness. They'll prey on your doubts, your fears, your pain. They want to drain your strength to keep you crawling. These kinds of people don't come at you swinging. They don't attack you head on. They study you. They learn your insecurities, your triggers, your soft spots, and they use them like weapons. They know exactly when to speak, what to say, and how to twist the knife just enough to make you bleed self-doubt. They disguise manipulation as concern. They'll say things like, "I'm just trying to help," when really they're trying to keep you second-guessing yourself. Because if you ever fully believed in your own power, you'd outgrow them. And they can't afford to lose that control. They thrive in environments where people are broken, uncertain, or afraid. Your pain becomes their nourishment. Every time you doubt yourself, they grow stronger. Every time you fail and they get to say, "I told you so," it feeds them. They smile in your face while quietly celebrating your setbacks. It's not because they're evil for the sake of it. It's because your struggle makes them feel safe. As long as you stay down, they don't have to face their own reflection. They don't have to confront their own laziness, their own cowardice, their own lack of effort. Seeing you in pain makes them feel justified in staying the same. You'll notice they show up most when you're vulnerable, when you're uncertain, when you're tired. They'll offer comfort, but it's not real comfort. It's sedation. You're doing too much, they'll say. You don't have to be so hard on yourself. Take it easy. Those phrases sound kind, but behind them is poison. Because what they're really saying is, stop rising, stop threatening my comfort. They feed off the moments when you start slowing down, when you question your purpose, when you begin to wonder if you're capable. That's when they tighten their grip. They know exactly how to manipulate your emotions. They'll remind you of your past failures. They'll replay your mistakes until you start believing you're doomed to repeat them. They'll disguise mockery as humor, telling you you're being too serious when all you're trying to do is evolve. They'll make you feel guilty for wanting more, ashamed for setting boundaries, and selfish for chasing growth. That's the trap. They make you feel like your strength is a crime, like your ambition is arrogance, like your focus is obsession. Demons feed on weakness because it's the only environment they can survive in. Strong minds starve them. Disciplined hearts destroy them. When you start working on yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, you'll notice how uncomfortable they become. They'll start picking at you more often, looking for cracks, trying to bring the old you back, the one who is uncertain, insecure, compliant. They'll push buttons you forgot existed just to see if they still work. They want you reactive. They want you emotional. They want you drained. Because when you're drained, you're easier to control. And sometimes it's not loud. Sometimes it's subtle. A sigh when you talk about your dreams. A dismissive good luck with that. A fake compliment wrapped in envy. These small moments might seem harmless, but that's how the feeding starts. Bit by bit, they steal your confidence until you start questioning if you're even capable of the greatness you once envisioned. You start internalizing their doubt as your own. You begin to carry their limitations like they're yours. You have to understand, these people are not always strangers. They can be family, friends, co-workers, even the ones you trust most. That's what makes it dangerous, because when betrayal comes from love, it cuts deeper. When discouragement comes from someone close, it sounds more believable. That's why you have to build a mind so strong that even the people you love can't poison it. You have to recognize when someone's pretending to care just to keep you small. They don't want you broken because they hate you. They want you broken because they fear what you'd become if you ever stood tall. They've seen the potential. They've seen glimpses of your power. They know that if you ever fully believed in yourself, you'd become unstoppable. So they feed on your weakness to prevent your awakening. They keep you in confusion. They keep you in emotional chaos. They keep you second, guessing your worth, because that's how they stay relevant in your life. The only way to starve them is to stop feeding them your fear. Stop explaining yourself. Stop seeking validation. Stop giving them emotional access. Once they realize their words no longer move you, they'll wither. They'll fade into the shadows where they belong. Because when you stop giving your energy to people who prey on weakness, you start giving it back to your own strength. And once you reclaim that strength, they can't touch you anymore. Comfort is their weapon. They'll tell you to relax, slow down, take it easy. That's how they keep you from growing. The moment you start leveling up, the moment you begin to separate yourself from mediocrity, you'll start hearing those words. You're doing too much. You're overworking yourself. You don't have to prove anything. They'll make it sound like they care, like they're protecting your peace. But what they're really protecting is their own comfort. Because when you start to rise, it exposes their refusal to climb. Your growth becomes a mirror that reflects their laziness, and they can't stand to see it. So instead of rising with you, they'll try to slow you down. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. It's the soft voice that tells you you've done enough for today. It's the friend who says, "Come on, live a little," when you're trying to stay disciplined. It's the family member who calls you obsessed because they can't understand the fire that drives you. They'll wrap their doubt in love, their fear in concern, and their weakness in logic. They'll say things that make sense to your tired mind. They'll offer you rest disguised as care. But it's not care. It's sabotage. Because deep down, they don't want you to be different. They don't want you to outgrow the circle that keeps them comfortable. You'll notice how people react when you start saying no. When you stop showing up to distractions. When you start guarding your time like it's sacred. When you become obsessed with improvement, that's when the comments begin. You're changing. You're so distant lately. You used to be fun. Those words are guilt traps. They're meant to make you question the very discipline that's pulling you toward greatness. The truth is, they're not upset because you're changing. They're upset because they're not. They see you doing what they don't have the courage to do, and it burns them inside. So they try to pull you back with comfort. Comfort is addictive. It's warm, it's easy, it's safe, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Growth doesn't live there. Growth lives in discomfort, in long nights, in early mornings, in the grind that nobody applauds. But when you're surrounded by people who worship comfort, they'll make you believe something's wrong with you for wanting more. They'll say you're too hard on yourself. They'll say you should enjoy life. They confuse comfort with happiness. But happiness built on comfort always collapses because it's built on avoidance, not achievement. You can't evolve surrounded by people who are addicted to easy. You can't rise while taking advice from those who've never tested their limits. When you start to push yourself, they'll make it sound like you're extreme. But what's really extreme is staying the same year after year and expecting life to change. What's really extreme is living at half potential and calling it peace. The people who tell you to slow down don't see the war you're fighting inside. They don't understand that your grind isn't about proving something to others. It's about proving something to yourself. The truth is, comfort doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about your survival. It doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to exist. It wants you to stay safe, predictable, average. That's why people who've given in to comfort will always try to recruit others to join them. Misery loves company, but so does mediocrity. They want you sitting beside them on the couch, talking about what could have been. They want you sleeping in when you should be training, scrolling when you should be studying, quitting when you should be grinding. Because the second you start becoming everything they couldn't, you remind them of everything they chose not to be. Comfort whispers. It doesn't yell. It sneaks in when you're tired, when you've been grinding for days, when results are slow. It tells you, you deserve a break. And sometimes that's true. But more often, it's a lie designed to make you forget the pain that's shaping you. Comfort kills urgency. It dulls the edge that growth requires. It convinces you that tomorrow is guaranteed, that success can wait, that potential doesn't fade. But potential dies the moment you stop chasing it. You have to become ruthless with your time, your focus, your energy, because comfort will always disguise itself as kindness. It'll show up with a smile and a soft voice, but its goal is to slow you down just enough for you to settle. You'll start justifying mediocrity in the name of balance, telling yourself you're just resting when really you're slipping. That's how comfort wins. It doesn't beat you all at once. It drains you inch by inch, day by day, until your hunger fades and your fire turns into smoke. They hate your discipline. The moment you start improving, they'll call you obsessed, arrogant, or crazy. That's their demon screaming in fear. The truth is, your discipline exposes their excuses. When you start getting serious about your goals, when you stop wasting time, when you begin cutting off distractions, the people around you start to get uncomfortable. They're not used to that kind of focus. They're not used to seeing someone refuse comfort, someone who won't settle for average. Your consistency becomes a mirror, reflecting everything they've been avoiding in themselves. They start to realize how much time they've wasted, how much potential they've ignored, and instead of changing, they attack you. They can't admit that you're doing what they're too afraid to do, so they'll label you to make themselves feel safe. When you start building discipline, your life starts to separate from the crowd. While they're sleeping, you're grinding. While they're talking, you're acting. While they're planning someday, you're doing today. And that difference terrifies them. It's not just envy, it's exposure. Your effort makes their laziness visible. Your sacrifice makes their comfort look cowardly. They see you controlling your mind, mastering your emotions, pushing through pain, And instead of being inspired, they feel threatened because your discipline reminds them that the reason they haven't changed isn't luck, it's effort. It's not that they can't, it's that they won't. They'll start small. They'll joke about how serious you've become. They'll laugh when you skip parties, when you stop drinking, when you start saying no to nonsense. They'll call you boring, distant, obsessed. But what they're really saying is, you're showing me what I could be if I stop making excuses. Discipline shines a light on weakness, and most people would rather live in the dark. That's why they hate it. That's why they'll mock it. Because deep down, they know it's the one thing they lack. The one thing that separates those who dream from those who achieve. They'll call you arrogant because you stopped explaining yourself. They'll call you selfish because you stopped prioritizing their comfort over your growth. They'll call you crazy because you're chasing something beyond their imagination. But those words don't come from clarity, they come from fear. Fear that you'll succeed. Fear that you'll rise so high they can't reach you anymore. Fear that your story will prove what they've always known but never admitted, that they settled. Discipline doesn't just change your life, it changes how people see you. The same people who once supported you will start resenting you because you've broken the unspoken rule of mediocrity. Don't make others feel small by doing more. Most people live in cycles of talk and procrastination, and your discipline disrupts that rhythm. You become a reminder that comfort has a cost. You become living proof that it's possible to do more, to become more, to rise higher, and that's something the undisciplined can't stand to face. You'll notice how their tone changes when you start saying no, when you stop showing up to waste time, when you stop being available for drama, when you start protecting your focus. They'll say you've changed, that you're not the same person anymore. But that's the point. You weren't supposed to stay the same. Growth demands transformation. Discipline forces evolution. And people who fear change will always label it as arrogance. They hate your discipline because it's a weapon they can't control. It's the one thing they can't fake. You can't borrow discipline. You can't buy it. You earn it through repetition, through sacrifice, through choosing the hard path over and over again. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, every time you keep going when no one's watching, every time you refuse to break when everything tells you to quit, you're building something they'll never understand. You have to understand that their hate isn't really about you. It's about what your presence makes them confront. It's about the reflection they see when they look at you and realize they've been running from the same pain you're facing head on. They've spent years convincing themselves that discipline doesn't matter, that luck, timing, or talent decide everything. But then they see you, someone with no shortcuts, no excuses, no special treatment. And it shatters their illusion. That's why they'll talk behind your back. That's why they'll downplay your progress. That's why they'll make jokes about how you take things too seriously. It's all defense. It's their demon screaming in fear because discipline terrifies weak minds. It strips away comfort, exposes excuses, and demands accountability. And accountability is the one thing they've been avoiding their whole lives. So when they call you obsessed, remember what they're really saying. They're saying you're dedicated. When they call you arrogant, what they mean is you've stopped needing validation. When they call you crazy, what they mean is you're willing to do what they won't. Your discipline makes them uncomfortable because it reminds them how much they've settled. And the truth is, they don't hate you. They hate what you represent.